The sound wasn't loud like in movies. It was sharp, fast, final. 3 cracks echoed through the quiet morning air, and for a split second, the world seemed to pause. I felt the heat rush past my shoulder before I heard people screaming. The woman holding the gun was shaking not with fear, but with rage. Her eyes were wild, convinced, certain she was justified. She had no idea that the man she had just tried to kill would be sitting behind a judge's bench less than an hour later. Because I wasn't just another neighbor she hated. I was a judge. And court was about to begin. After 20 years on the bench, people assume judges live isolated lives. We don't. We grocery shop. We mow lawns. We argue with neighbors over fences and noise. When I retired early from a higher profile district, I wanted quiet. Not isolation, just peace. That's how I ended up in Ridgewood Heights, a suburban HOA community that advertised itself as orderly, respectful, and well-managed. I didn't care much about HOAs. Rules about paint colors and trash bins seemed harmless. I was wrong. Karen Doyle introduced herself 3 days after I moved in. She knocked hard, not rude, but deliberate. Like she expected obedience. "I'm the HOA president," she said, holding a clipboard like a badge. "We like to keep things compliant here." Her eyes scanned my porch. My lawn. My driveway. I smiled politely. "Nice to meet you." She didn't return the smile. "You'll receive a copy of the bylaws. Ignorance isn't an excuse." Then she turned and walked away. That wasn't confidence. That was ownership. Within the first week, I received my first violation notice. My grass was slightly above approved height. I trimmed it. The next notice came 2 days later. Trash bin visible from the street for 10 minutes. Then another. Car parked too close to curb. I paid the fines without comment. I've learned over decades that arguing with small authority often feeds it. Karen wanted resistance. I refused to give it. That made her angrier. People ask this question later. Why didn't you tell her you were a judge? Because power should never be used as a threat. In court, my authority exists to protect fairness, not to intimidate. Outside court, I'm just a citizen. At least, that's how it should be. Karen didn't believe in that distinction. Karen began showing up unannounced. Early mornings. Late evenings. She'd stand at the edge of my driveway, clipboard in hand, writing notes while watching me. "You need HOA approval for that light fixture," she said once. "It was already installed," I replied calmly. She leaned closer. "Everything here requires approval." I looked at her and said something that changed everything. "You administer rules. You don't own people." Her face hardened. "You think you're better than us." I didn't answer. But in her mind, I had. The fines increased. Warnings turned into threats. Liens were mentioned. Towing was threatened. Karen shouted across the street one afternoon. "I own this neighborhood." People stopped walking. Curtains moved. I said quietly, "You manage it." "Temporarily." She laughed. That laugh carried something dangerous. Karen had scheduled hearings against 3 residents. She loved court. She loved the illusion of authority. What she didn't know was that the courthouse she'd be entering later that day was one I presided over. Emergency assignments happen. Judges rotate. She never checked. She never imagined. That morning was calm. Too calm. I was walking to my car when I heard her voice behind me. "You ruined everything." I turned. Karen stood at the edge of the street. Her hand was shaking. She was holding a gun. Training takes over in moments like that. I moved instinctively. 3 shots rang out. I felt heat, not pain. Then screams. Karen froze. Then she ran. Police arrived within minutes. Neighbors gave statements. I gave mine calmly. Yes, I recognized her. Yes, I believed she was a danger to the public. Paramedics checked me. A superficial graze. Luck. Training. Timing. The officer asked, "Do you want to press charges?" I looked at the squad car where Karen sat, silent now. I want her in court, I said. The courthouse didn't stop functioning. It never does. Judges are replaceable. But procedures matter. An emergency reassignment was discussed. Then someone realized something. The man she shot at was already scheduled to preside. The silence that followed was heavy. I said simply, "I can proceed." The courtroom doors opened. I walked in. Black robe. Calm face. Karen was already seated. In cuffs. She looked up. Recognition hit her like a physical blow. Her face drained of color. Her mouth opened, no sound came out. I sat behind the bench. Picked up the gavel. Court is now in session. Her attorney stood immediately. Your Honor. I raised my hand. Proceed. Professional. Neutral. Controlled. Karen shook. She whispered, "You." I didn't respond. Judges don't react. We listen. Body camera footage. Witness testimony. HOA financial records. Patterns emerged. Selective enforcement. Harassment. Financial abuse. Karen hadn't been managing rules. She'd been weaponizing them. Her power depended on fear. Fear doesn't hold up in court. People expect revenge. They expect yelling. They expect emotion. They don't understand judges. I didn't punish Karen. The law did. Charges escalated. Attempted aggravated assault, weapon discharge, abuse of authority, financial coercion. Each supported. Each documented. HOA board members resigned within hours. Audits were ordered. Bank accounts frozen. Years of misconduct surfaced. Karen hadn't acted alone, but she had led. Careers ended quietly. Properly. Legally. Karen stood shaking. I looked at her the same way I look at everyone. Not as an enemy. As a citizen accountable to the law. Sentence delivered. Gavel struck. Final. News spread fast. HOA president arrested after shooting attempt. Neighbors approached me later. Apologized. Cried. She terrorized us for years, one said. Silence enables monsters. Law stops them. Authority is dangerous in the wrong hands. Rules are tools, not weapons. The moment someone believes control equals ownership, harm follows. Karen learned that too late. I never told my neighbors who I was. I shouldn't have had to. Because the law protects everyone, not just judges. And court is always in session.